This question tells us that f of x is a linear function. F of x is linear. The question also says that f of 2 is less than or equal to f of 3, f of 4 is greater than or equal to f of 5, and f of 6 equals 10, and then asks what must be true. So one thing that you have to know about linear functions is that they are either increasing, they are decreasing, or they are constant. It's the only three things that a linear function can do, and therefore what that means is, and by the way, increasing means positive slope, decreasing means negative slope, horizontal means a zero slope. So I'm drawing in some xy axes here, xy axes, xy axes. You also need to understand that when you see something like f of 2, f of 3, those are just the y values that correspond to an x value of 2 or an x value of 3. So again, over here you've got a y value, you've got a y value, these are x values, this is a y value, so that 10 over there is a y value. So this actually represents the point 6 comma 10. Hopefully you understand that. If you don't, you should. Again, x value right there, f of 6 represents a y value, and 10 represents a y value. So again, this is the point 6 comma 10 over here. So for these two items, f of 2 is less than or equal to f of 3, and f of 4 is greater than or equal to f of 5. If a line has to be either increasing or decreasing, for instance, as you go from x equals 2 to x equals 3, which is not drawn to scale, and then you go from a y to a y, the y's either are going to increase. Let's say this is 1 and this is 4. So again, you go up in your x's, you go up in your y's. Up in your x's, up in your y's, or it's the opposite, that you go up in your x's, so 2, 3, and then you go down in your y's. So you go up 2 to 3, but your y's go from 4 to 1. So again, you're going up in your x's from there to there, but you're going down in your y's. Or, of course, you could go up in your x's, again, not drawn to scale, and your y's don't change. These y values stay exactly the same. So we went up in our x's, but our y values did not go up or down at all. They did not get bigger or smaller. They stayed the same. If you look at these two stipulations in the question, it would indicate, if you ignore the or equals to for a moment, let's actually get rid of that or equals to for a moment. If f of 2 is less than f of 3, that would mean, let's do this over here. So here's an x value of 2 and here's an x value of 3. If f of 2 is less than f of 3, that would mean your y value at an x value of 2 is less than your y value at an x value of 3. So that would mean you've got an increasing function, right? F of 3, this point right here is 3 comma f of 3, and this point here is 2 comma f of 2, and we can see that f of 3 is greater than f of 2. F of 3 is greater than f of 2. But this stipulation right here would say, again, without the equals to, would say that f of 4, okay, let's say this is f of 4, is greater than f of 5. So this point right here would be 4 comma f of 4, right? Again, that f of 4 is just the y value. And this point would be 4 comma f of, would be 5 comma f of 5. What that would mean, if f of 4 were greater, f of 4 greater than f of 5, that would mean you now have a decreasing linear function. It is not possible for functions to go, linear functions, to go up and then go down. They either are always increasing or they are always decreasing. They cannot go up or down. And what that means, what everybody else has been writing in the comments here, what that means is the less than and greater than scenario, those aren't possible, which means the only scenario that's possible is the equal to scenario. It must be the case that f of 2 and f of 3 are equal, and f of 4 and f of 5 are equal. And what that means is that all your y values are equal to each other. And if your y value over here is 10, that means that all of these y values must be 10. In other words, you must have a constant linear function where all of your y values, no matter what point you choose, whether you go to x equals 2 or x equals 3 or x equals 4 or x equals 5 or x equals 6, all of your y values must be 10. Because again, the greater than less than scenario does not work here. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, ask your questions.